Hello.
Hello. Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Okay, so for this rotation, the last two sections were left, which is 10.19 and 10.20.
Yeah.
So 10.19 talks about angular momentum of a body that is doing rotation plus translation of a body in rotation plus translation. So the same principle, the way we derived kinetic energy of a body doing rotation plus translation, same way you have to do this. So think about a point on the body. This body, this is center of mass. Let's say it is moving at VI and there is a random point here. It has some R vector with respect to this center of mass.
Yeah.
This is your origin. So origin is here. So you can say that Ri, this is your ith particle, and this vector will be your Ri vector. Ri, right?
Yes.
Ith particle position will be basically RCM plus Ri with
CM.
respect to CM,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And similarly, Vi will be VCM plus Vi with respect to CM, right?
Yeah.
So, and this Vi with respect to Cm can be written as omega cross R, right? Omega with respect to Cm cross Ri comma Cm, right? This is Vi with respect to Cm, right? So, for the ith particle, he writes momentum as with respect to this point. If I am calculating the momentum, it will be it will be Mi Ri cross Vi, right?
Yeah.
And since you have to do total momentum, you have to do sum of this, right?
Hmm.
For all such particles. Now he breaks down this into RCM plus this, and he breaks down this into PCM plus this, right?
Yeah.
So he gets four terms, like there will be this into this, and there will be two terms, right?
Yeah.
So he breaks down it into four terms, and on the next page, you see four terms are given, right?
Yeah.
Now, the first one, so summation of, let's look at each of them one by one. So the second bracket, if you look at, right, summation of I, Mi, Ri, comma Cm, right?
Yeah.
That thing, what does it mean? We have already seen that that thing is zero in the previous one also. Summation of I, Mi, Ri, comma Cm, because it is position of ith particle with respect to center of mass, right?
Yeah.
This is basically meaning Ri minus Rcm, right? So when you do the summation, it can be split into two summations, right? These are the two summations, right? And this is equal to simply RCM into total mass, right? And this is also RCM into total mass, right?
Yeah.
So this one becomes zero. So second factor becomes zero, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, exact same logic for Mi, Vi, comma Cm also will disappear, because it is again MVCM minus MVCM it will become.
Yeah.
You understand? Because Vi comma Cm also is same, no? Vi minus VCM, right here.
Yeah.
So same thing, that factor also disappears. So what is left is the first one and the last one, right? Look at the last one. Last one is simple. It is total mass RCM cross VCM, right? So he is writing R0, V0. We are using CM, right? V0, R0 is the velocity and position vector of the center of mass. So this term looks like you are thinking of the whole body as a point particle, right? Having mass m and position vector RCM and velocity vector VCM. Right? So this is as if the body is thought of as a single point, and that point mass is moving, right? And you have calculated its angular momentum about this origin, right?
Yeah.
Now the first term, if you look at the first term, that term is Ri comma Cm cross product with Vi comma Cm, right? So Ri comma Cm is just this, right? Correct? Ri comma Cm is this line, no? And Vi comma Cm is omega cross R, right?
Yeah.
So you can write that as Ri comma Cm cross of this, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That is that. So this is again A cross B cross C. So that will be A dot C with B minus A dot B and C, right? So A dot C will become Ri comma Cm square and omega Cm minus A dot B is 0 because omega is out of the plane where I is in the plane.
Yeah.
So this term is become 0 and there is an Mi summation outside, right?
Huh.
So you get summation of Mi Ri comma Cm whole square omega Cm, right? Now this thing is moment of inertia about the center of mass. Like your axis is now center of mass like this, then only you are taking this distance, right? And you are adding up Ri square and Mi, right?
Yeah.
So this is moment of inertia about center of mass, right? And this is I omega basically, right?
Yeah.
About the center of mass, right?
Right.
So your total angular momentum of this body is becoming L about center of mass plus M RCM cross VCM, right? Where L about center of mass is calculated like ICM omega, right?
Yeah.
Where you are thinking of the body as pure rotation about center of mass axis, right? L will be I omega only if it is a pure rotating body, right?
Yeah.
Pure rotation about center of mass. So basically what has happened is you have split the entire motion of the body in two parts. One part is translation, when you think of it as a point mass, and one part is rotation when you think of it as rotating about center of mass, right?
Yeah.
So due to rotating about center of mass, it has this much angular momentum, and due to translation, it has this much angular momentum. If you add that, you get total angular momentum about the origin, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So notice that the origin comes in because of this part, right? Because the RCM and VCM here, RCM depends on the origin, right?
Okay.
The rotation of the body around center of mass doesn't take into account which origin you are taking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that only takes account the center of mass, right?
Yeah.
So origin is coming into play because of this term, right?
Okay.
So this is L total about this point. If you had a different point, you would have to do a different RCM and VCM, right?
Yeah.
You want to take L about this point, point 1, then you will do this second term will be different, first term will be same, right?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is angular momentum calculation in the case when there is rotation plus translation. And then the last section in the chapter is why does a rolling sphere slow down? So the rolling sphere ideally should not slow down because in pure rolling, what happens is velocity of this point of contact is equal to the velocity of the surface.
Yeah.
So there is zero relative velocity at this point. And if there is zero relative velocity, then there is no kinetic friction, right? So ideally, there should not be any kinetic friction and all. So why will it slow down ever, right?
Yeah.
The reason is that actually there is a deformation in the surface and the normal force is not passing through the center like this. It is actually shifted somewhere. And this normal force will now create a slight backward torque on it, right? And this backward turn torque will try to accelerate it like this. And therefore friction must act like this. Okay. It will try to accelerate it like this. So this point will try to slide like this, no? So this point tries to slide faster and friction is opposing this. This is a static friction. Static friction because currently their velocity of center of velocity of the lowermost point is 0 with respect to this. So it is trying to now slip and friction is opposing that slipping thing, right? Slipping tendency. This happens because no surface is perfect and the point of contact is not a perfect one point, right?
Yeah.
It is a deformed thing. When there is a mass on it, it is deformed and the normal force is not always going to act directly down from the center. And if it is slightly shifted also, it will create a torque about the center, right?
Yeah.
If it creates a torque, then there is a tendency to slip at this point. And that creates a friction which wants to oppose that slipping. right?
Huh.
And
Yeah.
as a result of this friction, there is a net force on center of mass in the horizontal direction, right?
Huh.
Which
Okay.
causes a deceleration, right?
Yeah.
See, everything is fine. Friction will balance the torque and all, but this deceleration cannot be cancelled.
Yeah.
So now it will slow down slowly, right?
Okay.
And it will
Yeah.
eventually stop.
Hmm.
So that is what happens in real life. Like it will stop after some time, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And that is because the normal force is not passing through the center of the sphere.
Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Hmm.
What I want to do is questions now for this class. So have you tried any questions in this exercise?
I did till 45. You had told me to do.
Yeah. So have you got any problems or no?
I had one or two doubts.
Okay. Tell me.
The 26th one.
Make sure that all your doubts are cleared. Okay. Don't hesitate to ask because you need to know everything. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like you have more doubts and you are hiding your doubts.
No, no.
Okay.
Huh.
Okay, 26th one seems just a calculation intensive question, but 26, because of the friction between the water in the oceans with the earth's surface, the rotational kinetic energy of the earth is continuously decreasing. If earth's angular speed decreases by this much in 100 years, okay, find the average torque of friction on the earth. Okay, so average angular deceleration has been given to you, right? See, change in earth's angular speed is given, no?
Huh.
It is 0.0016 radian per day, right?
Yeah.
And change in time is given to be 100 years,
Huh.
right?
Yeah.
Correct. So basically, del W by del T should give you alpha average, right? So just divide this. So you'll get 0.0016 radian per day divided by how many days in 100 years? 36500, right?
Huh.
So day square it will become, right?
Yeah.
So this is dimensionless. It is in the units of per unit time square, right? So this is my alpha average, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Now find the average torque of friction on the earth, right? So torque average should be equal to I alpha average, right? So you have to just multiply by moment of inertia, no?
Fine.
So moment of inertia of the earth will be 2 by 5 mr square.
Maybe I think I made a calculation mistake then.
So if you do 2 by 5 mr square, m is 6 into 10 power 24 into r square. R is 6400, so 6400 square into 10 power 6 to make it SI units. And now you have to multiply by alpha also, right? So I'll just do it here. 2 into 6 by 5 into 10 power 24 into 6.4 square, and there is 1000 here, so 10 power 6 will come from here only, and 10 power 6 because it is kilometers, so it will be 10 power 12 into 0.0016 divided by 36500 and day square. So each day has 86,400 seconds, no? So 86,400 whole square to make it second square. So this is your answer. So you should be able to do the calculation in an approximate manner yourself, right? So for example, how would you do this calculation? Okay, so first thing is to cancel some stuff. So 12 by 5, okay. So first I will take the 10 powers on, okay. So let's do the 10 powers. So it is 12 by 5 into 6.4 square into 16 by 4 zeros, 16 by 10 power minus 4, right? And divided by 3.65 into 10 power 4 here, right? And multiplied by 8.64 into 10 power 4 square. So 8.64 square into 10 power 8, right?
Yeah.
And on top, there is also 10 power 36, right?
Yeah.
This has been done, this has been done, everything is fine. Yeah. So this is the calculation. So 10 power, this becomes 10 power minus 8, right? And this becomes 10 power minus 16. So you are getting 10 power 20 here,
Yeah.
right? And then the calculation is just between these things.
Hmm.
So 3.65 is here, 12 is here, 8.64 whole square is here. Okay, so I have 6.4 by 8.64 whole square, right? So that is 3.2 by 4.32, that is 1.6 by 2.16, 0.8 by 1.08, right? So 8 by 108, 80 by 108, right?
Yeah.
So that is 40 by 54. So 4 say it will be 20 by 27. Okay. Right. So 20 by 27 is this part. So 20 by 27, right?
Yeah.
And I have 16, 3.65 here. Okay. So 12 fours are 9. So you have 80 into 16. 80 into 16 by 45 into 3.65, right? So 85, 16 and 9. So 256 by 9, 256 by 9 into 3.65, right? So 365 by 100. So 365, so 73 and 5 will give you 5,120, right?
Yeah.
5,120 by 73, right? Okay, so 9 into 73 is 730 minus 70, 640 and minus 3, 637, right?
Yeah.
So 637 and 5120, you have to divide 5120 by 637 and multiply by 10 power 20. So this will be 8 should work, 240, yeah, 8 point 4,800, 240, 5,040 and 7 8 is 56, 5,096. So something close to 0, whatever, right?
73 into 9 will be 657, I think.
Oh, yeah, 657. Okay, but still it will be close to 8. 650 into 8 is almost, yeah, it's close only. 8 into 10 power 20 is coming. 26.
5.10 into 10 power 20.
Maybe we missed something then. Slightly somewhere there's a mistake. But it's fine. The answer will come by calculations. You have to do calculations. This is very easy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one.
37.
Okay. 37 is this situation. There's a pulley here and there's a mass. There's a pulley hanging and it is attached like this. Okay. The descending pulley, this descending pulley has radius is equal to 20 centimeter and moment of inertia I is equal to 0.2 kg meter square. Fixed pulley is light, and horizontal plane is frictionless, and acceleration of the block, if mass is 1 kg, you have to find acceleration of the block, right?
Yeah.
Now you should know that if the pulley is light, then tension across it is same, right?
Yeah.
Pulley is light, that means it is not undergoing rotation and all, okay? Because mass is 0, so moment of inertia is 0, right?
Yeah.
But this pulley is not light, its moment of inertia and all is given, right? So I will say that there is tension here, same tension here, same tension here, right? And notice why I have drawn arrows like this. I have drawn arrows like this because tension is always a pulling force. It's always going to pull, not push. Okay.
Yes.
You cannot push someone with a rope, right?
Yeah.
So you cannot push it. It will become slack if you try to push, right? So tension pulls anywhere where it is attached to some mass or some body, right? It will be pulling that thing. So here it will be like this, here it will be like this, here it will be like this because it's pulling the pulley, and here it will be like this upward, right? But okay, so now this tension has to be different. This tension has to be different because this body will rotate. Why? If it was same, right?
Hmm.
If this side tension is same as this side tension, then the body cannot rotate, no, this body.
Yeah.
Because torque from here and torque from here will cancel. Right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So, okay, 1 second. So this tension has to be different. So I'm marking it as T1, right? And now the question is basically find the acceleration of this. So I should draw free body diagrams. So for the pulley, I will say its mass, let's say, is capital M. So mg is the force like this, and tension is like this, and T1 is like this, right? Correct.
Yeah.
Now it is going down with, let's say, acceleration A1. Okay.
Okay.
And it is also rotating. Okay.
Huh.
And for the mass, this equation is T like this, and that's it, right? There's no other horizontal force. So you should have the equation T is equal to ma, right?
Yeah.
T is equal to ma is the equation 1. So m is 1, so basically T is equal to a,
Yeah.
right? So we have to find tension basically, right? Correct.
Yeah.
So now notice that if you go down by some X amount here, right? How much does it have to go this side? If this pulley goes down by X amount, how much should this mass come right side?
2x, right?
Yeah, why 2x, you know, right?
Yeah, because the pulley has two tensions acting, and
Not because of that.
like the string.
The string, that is the correct thing. So if you think about this, the pulley comes down, extra string has come here, right? An extra string has come here. How much extra string is there now? 2x, right?
Yeah.
Where did this 2x extra string come from? Somebody has to move, no? Then this has to move 2x forward, no? Otherwise, how did so much extra string appear suddenly, right?
Yeah.
That is the reason, not because two tensions. Okay.
Yeah.
So extra string 2x. So that means that this acceleration, if it is a, then this acceleration must be a by 2, right?
Yeah.
Because displacement here is half of displacement here, right? So this acceleration is a by 2. So now I have one fewer variable, right?
Yeah.
So I will write equations like this: mg minus t minus t1 is equal to capital M into a, right? A by 2, actually.
By 2.
Right? And then I also have to write an equation for rotation, right? Now think about it. Which direction is this going to rotate, right? If it is coming down, it must be rotating in this direction, right?
Yeah.
If it rotates like this, it is pulling it down, no?
Yeah.
Think about it. Think of physically rotating that wheel like this. That means this string is being pulled down, right?
Yeah.
Right? So if it is rotating like this, I have a torque equation for this. So this torque is giving this type of rotation, right? T1. So T1 into R, and this torque is opposing that, this one, minus T into R, right?
Yeah.
Is equal to I into alpha. Correct? And you should also have this point's motion should be same, no? So that alpha that is being created like this, R alpha should be equal to this acceleration A, no? Why?
Yeah.
Because the rope has to be pulled down with some speed, some acceleration, right? So this point on the rope, it will, due to the alpha, it is coming down with R alpha, right?
Yeah.
Right? And that is the pulling of this, right? With A.
Yeah.
So you get these equations, and now you can solve. So what we have to do is eliminate T1, right? So I will just divide by R here, right? And write alpha by R as A. Okay. So IA, right?
Yeah.
And add the two equations. So that will cancel my T1, right? So you'll get mg minus 2t is equal to A common m by 2 plus I, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So you get mg minus 2t. So 2t is what you need to find. 2t is equal to mg. Okay, actually you can put 2t as 2a, right?
Yeah.
2t is a. So you can just say mg is equal to 2a plus this. So add it, a 2 plus m by 2 plus I, right? correct?
Yeah.
And now A becomes mg by m by 2 plus I plus 2, right?
Yeah.
So divide by m throughout. So g by 1 by 2 plus I by m plus 2 by m, right?
Hmm.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now this m you have to find from this, okay?
Huh.
For a disk, it will be half mr square, right?
Yeah.
M is equal to mr square is equal to half mr square is I. So
Hmm.
2I by r square is m, right?
Hmm.
Correct. So 2 into 0.2. So 0.4 by r square. This is 0.2 only, right?
Hmm.
So 0.04, right? So m is 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So acceleration will come out to be 10 by half plus I is 0.2 by 10. So 0.02 plus 2 by 10. So 0.2, right?
Hmm.
So this is half. So this is 0.5. So 0.7, 10 by 0.72, right?
Huh.
So just do this calculation once. So it is 10 by 72 into 100. So this becomes 1000 by 72 or 500 by 36 or 250 by 18 or 125 by 9, right?
Hmm.
So that is 10 point, almost 14, no? Almost 14, 13.9 and all, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So let's check once. Acceleration is what is coming? 10. So then we have made a mistake. One second, we have to check. There's some mistake in our solution. This is 37, no?
Which one?
This is question 37, no?
37.
So answer is coming slightly different. So we have made a mistake somewhere. So I'll just check my equations once more.
Hmm.
So let's just write the equations once again. Okay, so fine. So we had m1 and we had this block and this like this, and let's say this is m2, and okay, let's call this tension as t1. Okay, t1, and that is going with acceleration a, and this is coming down with acceleration a by 2.
Hmm.
This is t1, and the other tension we can call as t2. Okay,
Hmm.
t2. So my first equation was t1 is equal to m1a, right?
Hmm.
Second equation was the motion equation, right? m2g
Hmm.
t1 plus t2. So m2g minus t1 plus t2 minus t1 plus t2 is equal to m2a by 2,
Yeah.
right? And third equation is t2 minus t1 into r is equal to I alpha, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
t2 minus t1 into r is equal to I alpha. Now we just have to connect our t2 minus t1 is becoming I alpha by oh, I think we have made a mistake because of the alpha relation. See here,
Hmm.
this point was moving down with a by 2, no? What did we made a mistake, no? We assume this is going ahead by a, but this is coming down by a by 2, no? We just saw
Yeah.
that a by 2, right?
Huh.
We should have written a by 2 is equal to r alpha, right?
Okay. Huh.
This
Okay.
point was coming down with a by 2, no? Actually,
Hmm.
this
Yeah.
thing was coming down with a by 2. We made a mistake by saying that a is equal to r alpha, but actually it is a by 2 is equal to r alpha.
Okay.
That was the fourth thing.
Huh.
So if you do this now, it will work. So therefore, you'll have alpha is equal to a by 2r. So you'll put that in this equation,
Hmm.
right? So t2 minus t1 is coming out to be I a by 2r square, right?
Yeah.
And t2 plus t1 is coming out to be m2g minus m2a by 2, right?
Hmm.
Correct.
Hmm.
And T1 we already know, right?
Hmm.
So subtract this equation, subtract these to cancel T2.
Hmm.
So you cancel T2 and you get minus 2T1 here is equal to IA by 2R square minus M2G plus M2A by 2, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And this is basically minus 2M1A, right?
Hmm.
Is equal to IA by 2R square minus M2G minus plus M2A by 2, right?
Yeah.
Now you have value of M1 is 1, I by 2R square and all. Now you have to put the values, okay?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So let's put the values. I was 0.2, right?
Hmm.
And R was 0.2 also.
True. Yeah.
So I by 2R square will be 0.2 by 2 into 0.04, right?
Hmm.
So this is 20 by 120, so this is 5, right? 5 by 2, so 2.5, right?
Hmm.
So this is becoming 2.5A minus M2G minus 10M2 plus M2A by 2 plus M2A by 2 is
Hmm.
equal to minus
Yes.
2A,
Yeah.
right? Okay. M2 we can find, M2 we found as 10, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So we'll just use that here. So you get 4.5A is equal to 100 minus 10A by 2, right?
Hmm.
And this is 5A, so this becomes 9.5A is equal to 100, right?
Huh.
Now A is coming close to 10, 100 by 9.5.
Yeah.
This calculation is basically 95,000 by 95. So it will be 200 by 19. 200 by 19 is close to 10,
Huh.
10 point something, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So basically the mistake here was in this step where you have to connect the alpha to the R and you have to notice the speed acceleration of this point was A by 2 and not A, right?
Yeah.
So there you can go wrong. So that you have to be careful about. Other things are clear. Tension here should be different from this tension.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
this torque is predominating, this torque is turning it, right?
Hmm.
Like it
Yeah.
has to turn like this so that it is pulled forward. If it turns like this, opposite, then it will go up, right?
Yeah.
You understand?
Huh.
Okay, so that is 37. Then
45, 43, the B part.
okay,
I was getting double of what the answer is. So.
43. A 6.5 meter long ladder rests against a vertical wall reaching up to a height of 6 meter.
Hmm.
So there is a vertical wall 6 meter high and 6.5 meter long ladder is resting. So let's say this is the ladder, it is 6.5 meter long, right?
Yeah.
And 60 kg man stands halfway up the ladder. So somewhere here man is standing, man is 60 kgs. Okay.
Hmm.
Find the torque of the force exerted by the man on the ladder about the upper end of the ladder, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so force exerted by man on the ladder will be like this, right? Because normal force will be like this for him, right? Normal force on the man would be like this. So I will say force by man on the ladder is like this, right?
Huh.
So we have to find torque of N about this point A,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Okay, so basically you have to find the torque, right?
Hmm.
B is assuming the weight of the ladder be negligible as compared to the man, assuming wall to be smooth, find the force exerted by ground on the ladder. Ground on the ladder. So ground will exert two forces, one normal force and one friction force here, right?
Yeah.
Wall is smooth, but ground is not said to be smooth. If ground is smooth, it will slip.
Huh.
Okay. So ground will exert two forces. You have to find resultant of these two forces. Let's label it N2 and this is N1. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this question is right now it is in equilibrium somehow, right?
Hmm.
So you have to balance forces and torques, right?
Yeah.
You have to balance force, balance torque. So how do we do it now? So think about the forces on the man first of all, right?
Hmm.
Man will face a normal force like this, its own weight mg like this, right? So no other force on the man, right?
Yeah.
So this normal force must somehow balance this, right? Correct.
Huh.
Must balance the force on this, no? So this n something angle here should be equal to mg, right?
Huh.
So n and mg, you can find the relationship here, right?
Yeah.
And this is 6.5 meter. So this length is 3.25 meter,
Huh.
right? And this will be a similar triangle sort of situation, right? If you drop a perpendicular from here, this triangle is similar to the big triangle, right?
Huh.
So therefore, what you can say is this angle is obviously same. It's common angle. So you can find this angle if you want this angle, because 6.5 meter. So we know the base already, right?
Yeah.
So this is half the base, no? Then you understand why I'm saying this much is half the base?
Similar triangle.
Similar triangles, right? So this must be 3 meters, right? So you will be able to find this angle, and this angle is anyway known because 6 by 6.5, right? So sine theta is equal to 6 by 6.5. So sine theta is known. So you know 90 minus theta is this angle, 90 is this angle. So theta must be this angle, right? This angle is theta only. So n cos theta should be equal to mg, right?
Yeah.
So n is equal to mg by cos theta, right? And mg and cos theta, everything is known. So n force is known, right? So then you can find torque directly.
Yeah.
This will be the torque of the same n1, right?
Uh-huh.
And torque will be due to this much distance, right? Which is half of this, right? So mg is 600 by cos theta. So this is 12 by 13. So cos theta will be 5 by 13.
5 by 13. Yeah.
Right? So by 5 by 13, this is force, and you have to multiply it by distance. And distance is r cross f. So this is perpendicular. That's why I just distance. So it will be 6.5 by 2, right?
Yeah.
So this will be 1.3 and this will be 300. So you'll get 300 into 13 into 1.3, right? Is the torque. So this will become, this is 110, you can make it 13 into 13. So 169 into 30, right? So this will be 480 plus 27. So 507, 5070, right? This should be the answer for the torque. Are you getting that?
This was fine. The second part.
No, it is not correct. So something is wrong. He's saying 740 Newton meter. No, something has gone very wrong here. What is the mistake? Did you get 740 Newton meter?
I got it when I did it.
How? 43. Ladder torque is 600. 600 torque. So normal force. What is he asking? Torque of the force exerted by man on the ladder about the upper end, right? So, okay. So
we have to take component of the distance and not the force.
See, force exerted by man on the ladder, you can say that force is equal to the weight. Why can you say that? Because if the weight is acting vertically down, somebody has to resist that, right? So ideally, if the force should have been normal force, a normal force should have been like this actually. But if we calculate using weight here is 600 Newton, right?
Huh.
That weight is exerted on the rod by the man, right? So man on the ladder is 600 Newton, definitely he's applying. So if you take torque of this force about this point, right? Then you have to basically do R cross F. So R will be from here to here, cross with the F, right? So you should take component of this in this direction for perpendicular, right? This angle is 90 minus theta, so this angle is theta. So W cos theta you will get, right? Right? I mean, I'm saying weights component will be 2, right? Weight sin theta, weight cos theta, right? Sin theta will not exert a torque. W cos theta will exert a torque. And W cos theta, if you do, it is then the answer will come, right? I'm assuming that the normal force is like this. So it depends on the choice. Actually, it depends on how the person is standing, actually, right? If the person is standing like this, normal force is like this. If the person is standing vertically, normal force is like this, right?
Yeah.
Correct. And now it makes sense that person will not stand like this, right?
Yeah.
Physically, if you think he has to stand like this, no, otherwise he'll fall. Right?
Okay.
You understand? See, if you stand like this, normal force is this, no? Then the answer is coming wrong, right?
Yeah.
And if you stand like this, normal force and all is everything is in this line, right? Then mg cos theta is the perpendicular, right? Not mg by cos theta.
By cos theta. Yeah. Okay.
And then you multiply by the distance, which is 6.5 by 2, and it is 600 into cos theta is what? 5 by 13 into 6.5, so 65 by 20, right? This becomes 5, this becomes 4, this becomes 150, into 5 is 750, right?
Yeah.
So now the answer is coming, right? You understand? So
Yeah.
there are differences in how you draw your free body diagram, right? Okay. So now the second part of the question, you have to understand the equilibrium of the rod, of the ladder, right? So there is one force here, let's say N1, one force here, let's say N2, right? Okay. And the man is standing here, right? So there was a force like this also here, correct?
Yeah.
So that is 600, right? And there is friction also, friction at this end, right? So equilibrium of the rod has to happen now. There is no friction on the wall, no friction here, right? So no horizontal component here, right? So for equilibrium of the rod, you do force balancing and torque balancing. Okay.
Okay.
So force balancing, all the horizontal forces you have to balance, right? Correct. So horizontal forces doesn't give us much. It gives F is equal to N2, but F we don't know. Mu N1 it will be something, but mu and all has not been given, right? So okay, let's just write it anyway. So you get F is equal to N2, right? Second equation will be N1 should be equal to 600, right?
Yeah.
N1 should be 600. That is force balancing. Now torque balancing you can do. Now there can be no, if it is in static equilibrium, there can be no torque about any point, right? If there is a torque about a certain point, then what will happen? It will start rotating about that point, right?
Yeah.
So you can balance torque about any point, calculate torques about any point. So which point should we take to calculate torque, right? We should always take the point where maximum number of forces are there.
Awesome. Okay.
So that those forces will not cause torque. No?
Yeah.
If I take this point, I don't need to worry about torque of N1 and F, right? I only need to worry about torque of this and torque of this, right?
Yeah.
If I take some random point here also torque balance is happening, but then you have to calculate everyone's torque.
Yeah.
So I don't want to complicate my life. So I'll take torque at this point, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So torque at this point will be this force turns it like this and this force turns it like this, right? So those two torques must balance, right?
Yeah.
So 600 is causing a torque of R cross F, this perpendicular distance, right?
Huh.
This perpendicular distance is, we can calculate, that is not difficult.
1.2.
This was 6, this was 6.5.
Huh.
So this was 12, 13, and 5. So 10, right? So 1. No, what is it? My Pythagorean triplets are what? 5 into 12 here and 5 into 13 here. 5 into 1.2 here, 5 into 1.3 here. And so it should be 5 into 0.5,
0.5.
right?
Huh.
Because then it will fit, no? Yeah. Correct, no? Huh.
Hmm.
So 2.5 is the overall thing. So this
Hmm.
much is 1.25, right?
Hmm.
So 600 into 1.25 is my torque like this, and should be equal to the torque due to N2, right?
Yeah.
Torque due to N2 will be due to this height, right?
Yeah.
Because force is like this and it will be at this much height. So should be equal to N2 into 6, right? So this is coming as 100, 125 is coming as N2, right? N2 is coming as 125. So N1 is coming as 600, N2 is coming as 125. So force at this point is 600 and F is equal to N2, no? So this is 125, right?
Yeah.
And therefore resultant force now you can find out, no? It will be the resultant of 600 and 125, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. So calculate that. Okay, he's writing it 590 vertical, 120 horizontal. He is using a 9.8 as G instead of 10.
Okay.
You understand? We have been using throughout 10, 10.
10.
So it will come close to 590 here and this much 120 horizontal,
Okay.
right?
Huh.
So for static equilibrium, calculate torque about any point is fine, right?
Huh.
So choose your point wisely, choose your point in such a way that you can reduce the number of torques that you have to write,
Okay.
right?
Huh.
And force balance, obviously you have to write, force should be balanced, torque should be balanced, right? So that is 43.
So if in this case they had said like it's a limiting condition or something, could we have taken N2 as mu into N1 where mu is tan theta?
N2 as mu into N1, N2 as mu into N1.
Because
That
N2
is
is
true,
friction.
but mu is tan theta, how are you getting?
If it's like a minimum condition or something.
No, but mu is mu, dude. Mu is not tan theta. Mu is tan theta only in a certain situation, some weird situation.
Okay, fine.
Wait. No, it's not fine. You cannot say mu is tan theta. Why are you saying mu is tan theta? When have you seen mu tan theta?
I think there was a question before.
See, mu is the surface is mu, no?
Hmm.
So why is it going to be tan theta? It shouldn't, there is no need to connect that to tan theta, no?
Okay, fine.
I mean, you would have seen inclined plane situations where normal force is mg cos theta and mu mg cos theta is equal to downward force mg sin theta for balance. That time it comes tan theta.
No, there was some
No,
other.
this is why you are saying it is tan theta, dude.
Okay. Yeah.
You understand here normal force and
That,
mg
yeah.
cos theta comes and this is mg sin theta downward force and friction is suppose it is balancing. So mu into n should be equal to mg sin theta.
Yeah.
And in this case, it comes as mu should be tan theta. But is it the same case?
No.
You understand? You cannot confuse one place somewhere it came tan theta, that doesn't mean mu is tan theta, no, everywhere. Mu is mu. It is the surface thing. It depends on what is the nature of the surface.
Yeah.
It has no connection to tan theta except in this particular problem, inclined plane of angle theta. This is not an inclined plane.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
So
you can write N2 is equal to mu N1, but that's it.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
45th one also I had it on.
45th one is similar, slightly more complicated. this is theta, this whole length is L, this height is H. Rests against a smooth roller, smooth here, so no friction. Friction coefficient between the ground, mu between the ground and the lower end, so that it can, so that minimum angle that the rod can make with the horizontal, so that minimum angle of rod with horizontal is theta, right? Minimum is theta means you cannot go lower than theta, right?
Yeah.
Basically, if it is lower than theta, it will slide, right? So right now it is in equilibrium like this. This is the situation.
Yeah.
You have to find friction, right? So this is roller is smooth, so no friction here. So force here is just simply N1, right? Perpendicular. Force
Yeah.
here is N2. There is friction here like this F, right? Correct. And the mg of the rod will be somewhere in the middle point, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere at a distance L by 2, right? L by 2, somewhere mg is acting like this, right?
Yeah.
So you have to just balance force and torque here. There is nothing very weird about this. So it's about being able to correctly write everything. That's the whole thing, right? So first, force balance equations. Force balance equations balance all the forces, horizontal and vertical, right? So think about this angle, this angle. So if my angle here is theta, this is 90 minus theta. So this is theta, right?
Yeah.
So you have vertical forces here are which ones? N1 cos theta plus N2 minus mg, right? Should be equal to mg, right?
Yeah.
No other vertical forces. Second, horizontal forces. So you have F, right?
Yeah.
Correct? F is equal to mu into N2 actually, right?
Yeah.
So I'll write mu N2 because I don't want to create new variable for F. Okay.
Okay.
F is mu N2, right? So mu N2 is one horizontal force and N1 sine theta is the other horizontal force, right?
Yeah.
Mu N2 should be equal to N1 sine theta, right? Correct.
Yeah.
And now we have to do torque balance, right? Torque will be due to all of these forces, but what I need is torque at any point has to be 0, right? So I will choose the point with maximum number of forces. So I'll choose bottommost point, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about N2, I don't have to worry about F. I have to calculate torque of mg, torque of N1, right? Correct.
Yeah.
So that is simple only, no issues. Mg, this length is L by 2, right?
Yeah.
So this length is L by 2 cos theta, right? So mg's torque is mg into L by 2 cos theta, right?
Yeah.
And that is turning it like this, mg's torque. And N1's torque is turning it like this, right? And N1's torque will be equal to, if this height is h, right? Correct. What is this hypotenuse? So you have sine theta is equal to h by x, right?
Yeah.
X is equal to h by sine theta, right?
Yeah.
So this is h by sine theta and N1 is perpendicular, right? So should be equal to N1 h by sine theta, right? You have to find mu from these equations, right?
Yeah.
Basically eliminate N1 and N2. That is your job. Okay.
Okay.
So because mu is what? Mu is N1 by N2 sine theta, right?
Yeah.
So you have to remove N1 and N2 and get it in terms of H, L and theta, right? Okay, so it is easy to remove N1 from the third equation. N1 is what? Mg L sine theta cos theta by 2h, right?
Yeah.
Correct. And put that in first equation to remove N2 to get N2 also, right? So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So put that in first equation. So you get mgl sine theta cos square theta by 2h minus mg is equal to minus n2, right? So plus minus, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So n2 is mg minus this. So take mg common. you have 1 minus L sine theta cos square theta by 2h, right? That is your N2, right?
Yeah.
So now you have to write N1 by N2 sine theta, right? So let's write that mgl sine theta cos theta by 2h into sine theta divided by mg, and take fraction, simplify the fraction, 2h minus L sine theta cos square theta by 2h, right?
Yeah.
2h cancels, mg cancels, right?
Hmm.
So you have mu is coming out to be L sine square theta cos theta by 2h minus L sine theta cos square theta, right?
Yeah.
Now, can we simplify this a little bit? No.
This is the answer which is given.
Right. Yeah. So L cos theta sine square theta by 2h minus L. Correct. So this is coming as mu. So it is straightforward if you know what you're doing. Force equations, torque equation. That's it.
Okay.
Torque can be taken about any point. I chose my bottom point.
Yeah.
And torque of only these two forces. So I need only this much distance, which is at L by 2 cos theta. And torque of N1 will be dependent on this H. So H by sine theta, this distance.
Okay.
Right? So these
Yeah.
three equations, and just be careful, you have to solve for mu. So you have to just remove N1 and N2. So get N1 from third one, get N2 from first one.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Okay, so try these more, and 45 onwards, try every question. And on Wednesday, we will discuss more doubts here.
Okay.
Okay.
So should I finish the exercise?
However much you can do, you do, but do it carefully, do it one by, I mean, don't get into a rush. Like, it's not about finishing the exercise, it's about making sure that every question you understand well. Okay.
Okay.
Don't worry about the answers, worry about whether you are applying everything correctly and whether it is making sense to you. Like,
Okay.
like sometimes you get, when you're doing many questions here, people get into the habit of somehow matching the answers, right?
Yeah.
Matching the answers is not important. What is important is the answer coming by a legitimate process that you truly understood? Right?
Okay.
Like if it doesn't come, it doesn't come. Then you mark it and we'll discuss it.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. I'll see you then.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.